Hello, I'm a 50-year anniversary techie survivor who has seen a whole range of analog technology be surpassed by new digital forms. I've had to learn how to transfer analog to digital for updating and preservation. I was invited to participate in this conference because I reached way back and digitized some of my student projects from 1984 and 1985 in honor of the 50th anniversary of our department. In addition to my MED degree, I have a degree in graphic arts and printing, which helped me gain skills in digitizing, and I have digitized many images for publication in books. Why bother to digitize old media? The primary reasons are to preserve our past for the future, to keep our visual history alive, and to be able to use it in both personal and educational products, from the web to print. I'll try to give you a quick once-over on how to digitize analog video, photos and negatives, documents, old movies, and still frames from old movies, and the best practices if you intend to use those images in print. If you're going to digitize analog video, consider what equipment do you have available? What might you need to buy? How much videotape are you going to digitize? Is it worth buying equipment? Do you have the time and money for your choice? A commercial service is easy. Just pack it up and send it in. But if you have much to digitize, costs mount quickly, and you will likely be paying for a lot you really don't want or need. Unless you choose a service that will send you the resulting files on a drive, you will get a DVD that you can't edit unless you have software to extract the files. You have to wait to get the results back, and there's a small chance your videotapes will get lost in the mail. You can do it yourself in one or two ways. You will need a playback machine, either a VCR for VHS or beta tapes, or a camcorder for high 8 or VHS-C cassettes. If you don't have access to one, you may be able to find one at a thrift shop, online, or even at a garage sale. You'll also need a digital camera that records video, has long-lasting batteries or connects to AC current, and an SD card with plenty of space. A 2-hour, 120-minute tape will create a file of around 1.5 to 3 gigabytes. The cheapest method is to hook up the VCR or camcorder to your television, point a digital camera set to record right in front of the television with the picture filling the camera screen, play the video and record it with the camera, and then transfer the file to your computer for editing. The quality is nearly as good as your original, which may not be good, as ferrous videotapes degrade over time, and we now expect far better focus and color than the old cameras were capable of. Make sure the room you're using is dark enough so that your camera is not reflected on the television screen you are recording from, and be sure there is no other audio, no ambient noise in the room, or it will be on your recording. You'll need to monitor your camera to be sure it is still recording and the battery isn't giving out. I'd advise this method only if your budget won't allow purchasing a video capture device and if you don't have very many tapes to digitize. If you have quite a few tapes to digitize, a better method is to use a video capture device. There are many on the market. I chose the Elgato because it consistently got good reviews. Reviews of cheaper units were not good. This one costs around $80, about the cost of paying a service to digitize 4 tapes. Be sure you have sufficient hard drive space. A 2-hour tape will result in about a 1.5 gigabyte MP4 file, which you can edit. You will still need a playback device to play the tape, but this time you will connect it through the capture card directly to your computer. Connect the Elgato or other capture device to your playback source and connect the other end to a free USB port on your computer. You can use an external USB port. Download and install the app. The URL for this is on the box. Launch the app and follow the simple instructions. Start your video output. Start the recording by clicking the red record button and just leave it till it's done. You can set it to stop after a certain amount of time. You can watch it while it's recording, and you can continue to use the computer for other purposes while you're doing it. This is what the Elgato app screen looks like. You will see your video running in the window, and you can choose whether or not you wish to listen to the audio while it's running. Once it's finished, you can edit it with your choice of software and create DVDs. Most of you have probably used a flatbed scanner, either standalone or as part of a printer combo, but depending upon your desired use of the file, there are ways to produce better results, and not all things will fit onto a standard scanner. Here are some principles to remember. First, scan even black and white images in color. If you want a grayscale image, duplicate the color one and then remove the color from the duplicate. Some reasons for this are books with color images in them may require all the images to be digital color, even if they only look black and white. You can get richer looking blacks and contrast in a color file, and you can create other effects using color on the image. Second, learn how to choose your resolution. Scan at 200 pixels per inch if you are going to print the image the same size as the original on an inkjet printer. Unless you are enlarging it, scanning higher than 200 pixels per inch is a waste and will not improve the image in print. If the image is to be printed in a book, scan at 300 pixels per inch. And if you want to enlarge it beyond the size of the original, scan at a higher pixel depth. I would suggest 600 pixels per inch. The best practice is to scan high, duplicate the image, and correct the duplicate. Save it, and work on another duplicate if you want one that is lower resolution or grayscale. Always keep your best high-resolution image as your backup. It's important to devise a good file name system before you start a scanning project so that all your files follow a similar pattern and are descriptive of the image so that you can easily find them with searches. Another thing, always scan negatives when possible instead of prints. If negatives are available, these are the original images, not ones which have been enlarged and lost detail in printing on paper. You will get better images in most cases by scanning negatives if you have them, but this requires different equipment. To digitize things that don't fit on a scanner, use a copy stand or put your camera on a tripod in a place with even lighting, level, pointed down and focused on the image. Cover the image with a piece of non-glare glass if possible. Choose a camera resolution of at least 1200 by 1800 pixels. Digitizing slides, negatives, or still frames from movies requires specialized equipment to produce the best results. Whether it is worth acquiring what you need depends on your budget and time. You can have a commercial service scan them for you, but it gets expensive very quickly. Unless you carefully choose what you send in, you may pay for a lot of images you don't even want. There are flatbed scanners that come with an attachment that will scan one or more slides or negatives at a time. This works if you only have a few to digitize. It is laboriously slow. You can also literally take a photograph of a slide with your digital camera. To digitize slides or negatives without a scanner, you need a source of white light. A light table is best, but you can use a white screen on a tablet or cell phone, or even tape the slide or negative on a window. If you are careful, you can get acceptable, even good results. It's about the only way you can do it yourself with large old negatives or glass slides that will not fit into standard scanners. Above, you can see a 35mm slide that I photographed using my cell phone as a light source, and a large old negative from 1921 that I photographed using my iPad as a light source. It works best to put an opaque border around the negative to prevent the extra light coming from the light source from closing down your camera lens too much. If you photograph negatives this way, you will also need a photo editing app that allows you to invert the image to a positive, as shown above. If you have access to a professional slide or negative scanner, use it, but the cost to purchase one can range from $500 to over $1,000. You can get acceptable results from a much cheaper unit costing about $115. If you have a lot of slides or negatives to scan and also want to be able to scan single still frames from 8mm and Super 8mm movies, there are inexpensive scanners that will do a variety of formats. I've had good success with this Wolverine scanner. I can easily scan 70 slides in only 13 minutes. It scans in high resolution and has some controls for color and exposure. Just push the slides through and push the button to save. Either plug the entire unit into your computer to transfer the images via USB, or take your SD card out of it and transfer them through a card reader. When you scan negatives with this unit, it already converts them to positive in the unit, so you don't have to do it with a photo editing app. You have the same controls that you have for scanning slides. This unit will do 35mm film and also 110 and 126 negatives, as well as 8mm and Super 8mm still movie frames. Some caveats: it does not handle high contrast images well. You may get blown out whites. It also doesn't handle thick plastic slide frames such as those used by AGFA in the 1970s. You can scan them, but instead of pushing them through the adapter fast, you have to do each one separately. You will likely be disappointed in scans from small formats like 110 negatives and 8mm film. The focus will probably be poor. The images are too small to enlarge well, and the lenses of 110 cameras and some movie cameras were not high quality. But sometimes these are the only images you have of something you need. If you have old movies, the sad truth is you are probably going to be disappointed with the results of digitizing them. Just as for scanning a single frame, the images are tiny and the focus is likely not sharp. The film may also have degraded over time. On the good side, since it's a moving image, you will not notice the lack of focus as much as you would in a still image, and you can improve the color and some of the rest of the problems on these with an app. Your options are commercial digitization, which will cost you around $10 per 50-foot reel. That's the smallest movie reel for standard processing, more for high resolution or special processing. You may pay a lot more for footage that you don't even want, or you can use your digital camera to record the movie while you project it on a white ground like foam core. You will need a projector. If you don't have one, try looking on eBay or in thrift shops. This method is tricky because you have to position your camera so that it is as close to parallel to the projected image as possible to avoid distortion. It's hard to do this without getting in the way of the projector image. You have to do it either to the side, as I've shown in this picture, or directly above it with a tripod. It's hard to do it. Don't use a projection screen or project a large image. It scatters the light too much and loses even more focus. Project a small image and fill the camera screen with it. Use the highest resolution video setting your camera has. A 200-foot movie reel will use up about 3 gigabytes of space for normal, not HD video, so make sure you have a large enough SD card and a well-charged camera battery. A third option is to purchase a video transfer system and set it up with your projector and camera per instructions. This is an easier setup than trying to record the movie off a white ground because the image is projected directly into your camera lens. You can purchase these online, new or used, for between $10 and $100. Digitizing old analog images is fun, rewarding, and useful for professional, educational, and family projects. Just remember, always, always back everything up. Thanks for listening.